Hey, and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for manhwa recommendations, then here are 5 of them that I've read recently that might pique your interest. Titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is Marriage of Convenience, a completed regression manhwa whose main plot ends at chapter 95 and has epilogues up to chapter 140. Its main character is Bianca, a daughter of a noble household that was sold to become the wife of a hero of the battlefield, Zachary D'Arno. Not having the best of relationships, Zachary is deployed often to war and ends up perishing in one of them. After being kicked out, now homeless and nowhere to go, Bianca finds herself passing away at a temple reflecting on her own life. Waking up, seemingly back in the past, Bianca now wants to change this cold relationship between her and her husband because that might just be the only way to save both herself and him. Be prepared for a well-packaged tale that doesn't let its foot off the gas. The story is 10 out of 10. As a complete story, this one is one of the best full package stories that I've read in recent times. From its pacing, overall narrative structure, and final goal, it's able to set out on this journey and complete it within a reasonable amount of time that leaves you content with the ending. Main story, that is. The characters are 9 out of 10. While not having the deepest set of characters, the length of the manhwa makes it so that the expectations are not unreasonably high for character development either. There is just enough to make you want to follow Bianca's journey to grow her relationship with Zachary, which propels the connection forward. The art is also 9 out of 10. To honestly sum it up quite well, it showcases the growing relationship between Bianca and Zachary with their various interactions, while displaying the negative impacts of people if they have their way, like Bianca's initial life. Things get interesting, that's for sure. If you wanted to get into reading romantic fantasy manhwas but didn't have one to try out or enjoyed the now completed since I last covered it, My Failing Divorce from my previous videos, then I would heavily recommend giving Marriage of Convenience a chance. This next manhwa to take a peek at is my very own Tower Strategy Guide, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 55 on. The protagonist of this story is Lee Ho-young, an individual who, like many other main characters in similar manhwas, witnesses the world going through an existential threat through the guise of quote-unquote towers. Before Ho-young is forced into said tower, he drank a medicine that he was given that gave him an ability or system, whatever you want to call it, which resembles a strategy guide of sorts. Now having to face the reality of the situation he's in, will this ability allow Ho-young to lead and become the face of humanity, or will he choose to be selfish and gather his own strength? The story is 5 out of 10. To be quite honest, the introduction and following chapters do not offer a strong sense of identity compared to the field of similar manhwas. Due to this, you might find yourself, at least initially, comparing this manhwa to a lot of other ones if you're even remotely a fan of modern action manhwas. The characters are 7 out of 10. With a meeker main character though, however, comes a lot of space for growth. This isn't a regression or reincarnation, so Ho-young will have to grow accordingly to face the challenges that will inevitably come. The main question though, will he be selfish or not? The art is 6 out of 10. At this point in time, the art does not have any particular strengths or weaknesses, but it just uses the tropes from the genres it inhabits in an effective manner to tell the story. In a lot of cases, most events end up being mostly forgettable, sadly. While it isn't the strongest showing of a title, if you're a fan of modern action manhwas and enjoy all of the tropes that do come along with it at this point, then take a look at my very own Tower Strategy Guide, as it may just be a good fit for you. Chairman Kang, the new employee, is our next manhwa to take a look at. It's a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 44 on. Kang Young-ho is the name of its main character, or at least initially. As the chairman of the Choisun Group, a giant conglomerate set in this version of modern South Korea, Kang Young-ho has a lot of power and responsibility tied to him. On one fateful day though, after an accident with a young new hire, Young-ho realizes that he has woken up in the body of a young man, whose name is Hwang Jun-hyun. After finding out that his original body is now in a coma, Kang Yong-ho, now Hwang Jun-hyun, looks to try and save the company he worked his whole life to build up from the grasps of his quite unsavory family. It will clearly be quite the struggle though, considering he's in the body of a new recruit. The story is 8 out of 10. From the onset, the premise and the following immediate storyline evokes the same type of plot and feelings you could expect from a Korean drama. I wouldn't even be surprised if there is one that seems to follow the similar major story points, to say the least. To its credit, it keeps you entertained throughout. The characters are 7 out of 10. You will see frustration, happiness, and a whole slew of emotions from the various characters within this Choisung group conglomerate. The politics and various actions made by said characters are quite forward and honestly believable in a lot of cases, even if it's a little superfluous. The art is also 7 out of 10. With those characters comes of course their various displays of power, political weight, and emotions as they enact the various scenes to bring this story to life. And those scenes, especially ones of confrontation between them, are quite good. So if you're a fan of modern drama manhwas and wanted something similar to a K-drama in manhwa form, then maybe Chairman Kang, the new employee, just might be good to go through. The shorter story for this week is Although I am a mother-in-law, I do not like conflict between my in-laws, a political manhwa that I currently read up to chapter 19 on. Whew, that's a mouthful. The focus of this story is on Wilhelmina, a woman who was part of a fallen noble household that actually went to ruin, and therefore she was pretty much a slave. That is, until one day she is notified that she has been bought by a noble, specifically Grand Duke Leighton, a man who was already known for having 4 wives, with now Wilhelmina being the 5th. Before even meeting the man, and even having a wedding, he passes away. However, Wilhelmina is still recognized as the Grand Duchess, and she will now have to deal with the seemingly tense political landscape that is the Leighton noble household. Will she be able to pull through? The potential is 9 out of 10. While the overall nature of the manhwa isn't new, the initial impression gives off more of a focus towards the political chess or tug of war that is being played at any given moment. From Wilhelmina's new stepdaughter and stepson, who are older than her, mind you, she will have to keep her wits about her to ensure her survival. Being a reincarnated person, though, helps. The art is 7 out of 10. Due to the limited amount of chapters, there hasn't been enough time for the manhwa to either make me critique or praise it in any given manner. At least at this point, it has delivered its premise well and at least has me intrigued. So if you're a fan of following newer stories and wanted one more focused on the political ongoings within the noble ducal household, then give Although I Am a Mother-in-Law, I Do Not Like Conflict Between My In-Laws a chance. Another week, another highlight. For those unaware, this is the section of the video I update impressions for manhwa that I've previously covered. Today's highlight is the Count's youngest son is a gamer, which I've now read up to chapter 99 on. Info card and description will have links to my original opinion. Do-hyun, or rather, Raoul Ashton, who is inside the world of Connect as both an NPC and a player, has been very busy trying to prepare for the game's beta period and official release. He has accepted the fact that he's in this weird state and is wanting to do everything he can to enact revenge on those that took over the game's world from outside the game. With the official release now being live, Raoul has the ability to show up as Crash once again, but with a completely different mindset than in his first life. What will be his next course of action now that he has the ability to interact with his original world? My previous scores for this manhwa were 9 out of 10 for story and 7 out of 10 for characters and art. The story goes down 2 points from 9 out of 10 to 7 out of 10 as honestly, the initial premise is great and everything, but the pacing and required setup time to get back to the original place we wanted to be took a little bit of time to get together. Yes, it had to set up everything, but at the same time, it could have expedited some parts in my opinion. The characters, though, go up 1 point from 7 out of 10 to 8 out of 10 as with that increased amount of time for setup, we get to see more insights into the various characters and motives that Raoul is putting into motion so that his future plans should be feasible, of course, with some risk. Having a fairy companion that's not annoying is a plus. The art also moves up 1 point from 7 out of 10 to 8 out of 10 as we finally get to see more of the game genre come back into focus as the official release of the Connect MMO is finally here. What is also interesting art direction wise is how Raul will interact with those from his original life. While it hasn't necessarily lived up to the potential that I thought it would bring with its premise, overall it's another solid addition if you're looking for something to read. So if you're a fan of the action genre but want a fantasy game foundation to build off of, then take a look at The Count's Youngest Son is a Gamer. Would you agree or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on this manhwa. And that wraps up this week's episode. Please like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content, as it really does help out a lot. Write down in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.